The phone rang again, shrill and urgent, slicing through the quiet of Eleanor's small kitchen. Her hands trembled as she reached for it, recognizing the number even before the caller ID loaded. It was him, her husband, though he had been gone for months, taken by a war that felt impossibly far away. She pressed play and his voice filled the room, alive and fragile across the distance of time. "Eleanor, if you hear this, know that I carry you with me, always, even if I don't come back." Her breath caught. Outside, the wind rattled the shutters, the neighbor's dog barked, the world moved on. But inside, time had stopped. She pressed the phone closer, knowing that the message was left just hours before he had gone into battle. And in that moment, she understood. Love doesn't end when life does. It echoes forever. The phone rang again. Eleanor froze, her fingers hovering above the cold countertop, the white porcelain almost glowing under the dim kitchen light. She had heard that ring countless times before, and yet today, it carried a weight no ordinary call could bear. The number was familiar, etched into memory. She swallowed against the sudden lump in her throat and lifted the receiver. When the voicemail began, the world shifted. It was his voice, steady, deliberate, filled with the warmth she remembered, yet tinged with a finality that tore at her heart. "Eleanor, if you hear this, know that I carry you with me, always, even if I don't come back." She clutched the phone to her chest, her knuckles white, and a single tear traced the curve of her jaw. Outside, the wind whipped around the house, rattling the shutters as if nature itself mourned. Inside, silence pressed against her like a heavy cloak, broken only by the echo of his words. Love had found a way across the chasm of death, a last whisper that refused to fade. Eleanor stood in the kitchen, small and fragile in appearance, yet carrying a quiet strength. Her shoulders bore the invisible scars of grief, her eyes the weight of sleepless nights. Every day since his departure had been a careful negotiation with absence, a war fought quietly within the walls of her home. She carried the smell of his cologne lingering on the sweater he had left behind, the faint trace of leather from the boots he had worn on their last walk together. Every corner of the house held a memory, a fragment of him she refused to release. Her backstory was etched not in photographs alone, but in the very fabric of her being. Eleanor had met Michael in a college lecture hall, the world still young and untested. He had been a soldier before love had found him, and she had watched him balance the dichotomy of war and tenderness with a quiet grace. They married quickly, a ceremony stitched together with hope, laughter, and vows whispered under the shadow of a world at war. The military had called him away more times than either of them could count. Each departure left Eleanor hollow, her nights punctuated by the sound of his absence. Their home bore the quiet evidence of a love that had weathered distance, danger, and loss. The worn wooden table where they had shared late dinners, the faded curtains through which the sun filtered softly each morning, the photographs lined along the mantel, all were markers of a life lived fully, yet always shadowed by the possibility of an ending. Michael had promised her he would return from every deployment, but this last call, this voicemail, was different. The conflict escalated silently. Eleanor navigated the bureaucratic labyrinth of military communications. Her requests met with clipped apologies, vague reassurances, and paperwork that never seemed to end. Authority clashed with humanity at every turn. Officers glanced past her with mild annoyance, assuming grief could be managed like a schedule, a form to be filled. Public disregard became its own weapon, a subtle violence inflicted upon her through indifference. Bystanders, neighbors, clerks, acquaintances kept their eyes averted, silent witnesses to her invisible struggle. Yet Eleanor did not falter. Her silence became her shield. Each ignored letter, each bureaucratic hurdle, each cold shoulder from a stranger reinforced her resilience rather than diminishing it. She learned to navigate the world with a quiet dignity, carrying her sorrow not as a burden to display but as a testament to the love she bore. Even in the face of disregard, she remained unshakable, her grief transformed into an inner strength that no authority could dismantle. Tension grew with each passing day. The voicemail had ignited a private storm within her. She replayed his words endlessly, listening for nuance, for hidden meaning, for a sign she had missed. The neighbors' whispers, the casual disinterest of strangers, the unfeeling efficiency of the system, all these became obstacles in a journey defined by emotional stakes, a battle between the heart and the cold machinery of life. Foreshadowing emerged subtly. A small, forgotten photograph slipped from the back of a drawer. Michael in his uniform, smiling with the innocence of someone who believed in hope. A folded note tucked beneath it. "No matter where I go, my heart is yours." In that quiet gesture, Eleanor found a hidden ally, a tether to the world that had once seemed unjust. The voicemail, the photograph, the note, all whispered of an unseen strength waiting to be called upon. And then came the unexpected shift. A call from an old comrade of Michael's reached her. Words flowed with the authority of experience and the warmth of shared loss. The network Michael had built, a community of silent, loyal souls who recognized honor without fanfare, rose in support of Eleanor. The bureaucratic walls she had encountered began to crumble under the weight of unseen solidarity. Officers who had dismissed her grief now approached with quiet apologies. Her struggle, once invisible, became impossible to ignore. Power and justice unfolded through narrative description, not confrontation. The system bent not from argument, but from the sheer moral force of truth and collective integrity. Eleanor stood in the middle of it all, her grief and love manifesting as a force that reshaped the landscape of indifference around her. "Silent hearts are often the strongest," she whispered to herself, the words carrying the weight of truth she had discovered. The measure of a life is not in the battles we see, but in the battles we endure unseen. Each quote became a beacon, shared silently across the community, a testament to dignity and sacrifice. And when she walked into the small town hall where Michael's memorial would be formally recognized, she saw it. A crowd standing in silent respect. Friends, neighbors, strangers who had once looked away now bowed their heads. Public apologies, handwritten notes, and subtle gestures of solidarity formed a tapestry of acknowledgement. Eleanor felt the warmth of justice, not loud or flamboyant, but steady, enduring, and deeply satisfying. The climactic moment was visual, emotional, and resonant. As the sun dipped below the horizon, golden light filled the hall, illuminating Eleanor's face, lined with grief yet radiant with honor. Each hand extended in quiet support, each nod of acknowledgement. Each tear shared with strangers became part of a collective recognition of love and sacrifice. Michael's memory, once caught between absence and longing, had been etched into reality through Eleanor's unyielding presence. Eleanor's reflection was profound. She understood now that silent strength carries its own power, that unseen battles shape the soul, that love does not die, does not vanish, but echoes endlessly in memory, in action, in courage. She whispered again, to the world and to herself, "Even when life is gone, love remains. It is never truly lost. It echoes forever." Her final thoughts extended beyond personal grief. She considered the unseen heroes in every life, the quiet sacrifices, the battles fought in silence, the dignity maintained in the face of disregard. She thought of those watching, wondering, searching for meaning in their own struggles. And she spoke to them, her words carrying across the invisible barrier of screens and distance. Honor the quiet hearts. Respect those who endure unseen. And remember that love is not measured by presence, but by the echoes it leaves behind. Eleanor smiled faintly, a tear slipping down her cheek, and placed the phone gently on the counter. She left the house, stepping into the evening air that smelled of earth and rain, carrying Michael's memory with her. Each step was deliberate, a rhythm of resilience and remembrance. The world outside continued its indifferent pace, but inside her, time had become a vessel of meaning, a space where love, sacrifice, and honor intertwined. She looked up at the sky, the first stars emerging, distant and bright, like tiny beacons of the love she carried. And in that moment, Eleanor knew with unshakable certainty that love, even when tested by death, echoes forever. The story ended not with closure alone, but with reflection. Viewers were invited to pause, to consider their own unseen battles, to honor those who walk quietly among them. The tale of Eleanor and Michael became more than grief. It became a testament to human resilience, the quiet power of love, and the moral imperative to recognize dignity wherever it exists. Comment where you are watching from. Share your thoughts, your experiences, your reflections. And subscribe to honor more stories that celebrate silent heroes, invisible sacrifices, and love that echoes beyond life itself.